Okay. Today we are discussing on marriage in the eyes of an anthropologist. So for the past 1 hour, students who are in this campus have been discussing on the definition, functions of marriage, types of marriage, and endogamy as a type of marriage with its advantages and disadvantages. Also on exogamy as a type of marriage, focusing on its advantages and disadvantages. We also had the time to look at divorce, the whys on divorce, good or bad. This time around, I would want to give opportunities to the students who have been discussing on this work for the past 1 hour to come one by one and make presentations. Their presentation will first focus on the types of marriage, endogamy, advantage and disadvantages, exogamy, advantages and disadvantages, and finally on divorce. So can you come up one by one? When you come, remember to give us your name, and then after you have finished, call your friend to compliment.
Good afternoon, class. My name is Zaito Magaba, and my partner in High Verity, we were told to discuss types of marriages and enogamy, advantages and its disadvantages. So first of all, we need to know what marriage is. As a definition of marriage, it's stated to be a legal and social union between a man, which is a male, and a woman, which is a female. So there are several types of marriages, but I'm just going to focus on 5 main types, which most of us we mostly know about. The first type of marriage is the common law marriage, whereby a man and a woman have a union between each other and they get married under the law. So they have specific laws that keep them under this oath of union. The second is arranged marriages. Some religions, of course, I will not go into detail, but some religions, when they're growing up, they have marriages which are arranged between each other or between 2 different families. The third one is open marriage. This is whereby a man and a woman, when they get married, of course, they have a union between each other, but they are open to other aspects of this marriage. So like they're open to other people joining in their marriage. Fourthly is group marriages. Likewise, like open marriage, group marriage is basically a marriage union between more than 2 people. So it can be either 3 or more. This is not very common, but like it still happens. And lastly is LGBT marriages. This is basically a marriage whereby there is a union between 2 people of the same gender. So it can be a man and a woman and a woman. Yeah, those are the 5 types of marriages we mostly focused on. I would have called upon my colleague to talk, but I think she's having a problem with her tonsils. So I think I'll just finish off the third point. We're also told to look upon enogamy, advantages and its disadvantages. So also found 5 on each. So advantages of this type of marriage. Okay, first of all, let me define it. This is basically a marriage between a family member or a relative of the same genetic composition. So basically, it has its advantages and its disadvantages. So the first advantage is that there's reduced conflict. As you know that in a family, you guys have a strong bond, and like growing up, you know each other's weaknesses and its strength. So basically, you share a lot of experiences together. So if you have this type of marriage, there's gonna be less conflict between each other because now you know each other a lot more, and there's less differences. Second is economic stability. Most um, income generated by individuals is mostly family owned. So if you marry someone of the same family or the same bloodline, most income, or should I say most cash flow from for an individual is mostly shared between each other because most of it is shared by a family name. Number three is genetic homogeneity. This basically means that you have the same type of genetic formation. So, if in a family you have favorable genetic types, so if you marry the same type of family member, you can actually share some very good traits in one another. So, if the family there's a tall person and the other one's also tall, if you marry each other, you're going to have also a tall child. Number four is social cohesion. In a family that you marry inside, there's actually a stronger bond than actually marrying further. So, for example, if a person is from Inchel and they marry inside there as well, the same family, you're going to have a stronger bond than if someone were to marry one from here and someone, let's say, in Blanta or something. So, it's going to have like a stronger bond. And lastly, there's cultural continuity. Some practices end because of marriages. For example, if you do Gule Wankulu, then you marry someone from town, I'm pretty sure you're going to stop doing practices of Gule Wankulu because you're marrying someone from town. But if you marry this type of marriage, you're going to continue the same cultural practices. So that's the last advantage of enogamy marriage. Now the disadvantages. I also found five. The first disadvantage is genetic risk. When you marry, or let's say you have a child with the same type of genetic formation, most time the genetic formation is very weak or it's not as favorable. So like there's a genetic risk whereby when like genetics meet each other, there's not going to be a strong genetic formation for the child. Secondly, there's potential conflicts. Even though you have a lot of similarities, this can also be a downfall because you have a lot of different interests in terms of what you want from each other. So, of course, you may be closely related, but like at the end of the day, you're still going to have fights upon other things. Thirdly, there's economic limitations. Of course, we are taught in some religions that the woman has to be submissive to the male, but like just because you're brother and sister, you're going to have some type of conflict in terms of decision making. So this is going to impact the way you use your money or your other funds. So this can be limiting to the family. Number four, there's challenges in identity. This means basically that when you marry inside the same family, most people will tend to hide some of these things. So it's going to be very hard for people to find out about your type of family or like what your family brings as to the society. And lastly, there's reduced diversity. I said earlier that there's genetic homogeneity whereby you have favorable traits, but sometimes this can be a downfall. In terms of, let's say, you marry in your family and all of you guys are either short, this can be very bad because like it can end up causing the chain to continue of short people. So like this can also cause lack of diversity in a family. Yes, that ends or that marks the end of my presentation. Any questions?
No. Can you explain more on group marriages?
Group marriages, okay. Group marriage is a type of marriage that we discussed earlier. This is basically when when three or more people have this legal union between each other. Yeah, that was the definition we discussed. Yeah.
Okay, let us clap hands for him.
Thank you.
Now, let the second group go and take the stage. One after the other.
Good afternoon, class. My name is Blessings Guereza. I'll be presenting on exogamy and its disadvantages and advantages. And my colleague will finish on divorce. To begin with, uh, exogamy is a marriage between two people from different cultural aspects. Um, so exogamy, it also has some advantages. One of them being genetic diversity. So exogamy increases genetic diversity by introducing new genes from outside the family. So, and also reduce the risks of genetic disorders. Secondly, there is social cohesion. Exogamy strengthens social relationships and alliances between different families in a society. Um, Thirdly, we can talk of reduced conflict. Since exogamy, it involves marriage between people from different cultures, so this reduces conflict among uh, these societies, since a bond is created by marriage. Um, the other advantage is broader perspectives. Exogamy marriage, it brings new ideas and skills in which a single person may lack. So if each person brings ideas, his or her ideas, and combine them, yeah, they make something new. We move on to disadvantages of uh, exogamy marriage. So in exogamy marriage, there is potential for conflict. There is potential for conflicts since um, there is differences in cultural practices and norms. So sometimes, due to these differences, it may encourage conflicts. Um, and the other disadvantage is loss of tradition practices. So since exogamy, um, it involves marriages from different cultures. So it uh, it it persuades one to to leave his own culture and start following someone else's culture. We can take an example from patrilineal marriage, patrilineal marital, patrilineal descent. Yeah, we can take an instance from that. When a woman is married to a man, he follows that man. So by following that man, she lives her own culture, thereby a decline in that culture. And also, there is family resistance. Families may resist this type of marriages due to social differences and cultural differences. The other disadvantage we can talk of adjustment difficulties. So since two people of different types of culture are getting bonded, so to adjust to new environment, culture practices is difficult in exogamy type of marriage. And the last disadvantage of exogamy, there is cultural and social challenges. This is also brought about by social differences and cultural differences that are there due to different people from different cultures. That's on exogamy. So any question about on exogamy? Okay, exogamy, it involves marriage between two people from different types of families. Yeah. Question? Hey, do you have a question? Sir, do you have a question?
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Good afternoon, class. Good afternoon. My name is Timothy Kayawaliga, and I'm here to represent on divorce. As I was working with my colleague over there who was explaining about exogamy. Yeah, first of all, let me define what divorce is. This is a legal separation of a certain couple between a male and a female, or a man and a woman. So, without wasting much of your time, let me start with the advantages of divorce. First of all, divorce leads to escape from an unhappy marriage, whereby a certain partner who is coming from divorce escapes from an unhappy marriage. An advantage. First one. Okay, escape from an unhappy marriage. Yeah, that's the first advantage. Okay, for instance, someone wasn't staying happy in that certain marriage. So yeah, and the second one is personal freedom. Divorce leads to personal freedom as well, as one is free after divorce. She can even get married. She can get married again after divorce. And the third one, I mean, divorce uh, reduces stress. After divorce, a certain member of that particular bond, he or she is able to have less stress due to divorce, as she or he starts a new life whereby he or she is stress free. And the fourth one is new beginnings. Divorce can bring an opportunity from a personal growth, self recovery, and new relationships as well. And the fifth one is better role modeling. After divorce, others are able to take a picture for a certain couple that has ended after divorce. And so they are able to make their own marriage that will not make those mistakes done by the others. Yeah. And let me go to the disadvantages. And the first disadvantage is emotional trauma. After divorce, you find out that certain individuals may even commit suicide after divorce as, as a result of divorce. And the second one is loss of support system. As you see in most families, they rely on each other, or others do rely on an individual. For instance, a woman relies on the man in that house. So after divorce, there's loss of support system. The woman can no longer get the support she was having from that particular man after divorce. And the third one is financial instability. After divorce, there is financial instability. As you see, when the divorce is legal, they share the assets, they divide them. So the financial is no longer stability, stable. It's now instability due to divorce. And the other one is legal complications. This is due to the divorce. It leads to what? It leads to misunderstandings and conflicts after divorce. And the other one is social stigma. After divorce, there's no longer social stigma. Yeah. So these were the advantages and the advantages and disadvantages of divorce. I don't know if there's any questions, sir, over there. Yes.
What was your first?
First advantage was escape from unhappy marriage. Yeah. Okay. Sure. Madam over there. Any question? My brother. All right. Yeah. So that's marks the end of my presentation this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you so much. At this juncture, we end our class this afternoon and we call it a day. Until next time we meet, remember all those pieces of statements that you have given on this one, endogamy, on exogamy, and divorce, a legal dissolution of marriage. According to one of the African writers, he says that divorce is defined as an accident in marriage. It is indeed an accident because each and every accident comes up with its advantages, not advantages, but all what accident brings are evil. So divorce is an accident. If you are married and then somebody divorces you, remember the reason why you gave us that you want to get married is support. So when the marriage ends, then where is the support now? The support is nowhere to be found. Instead of support, confusion follows. That's divorce. And I charge you guys, much as we have the word divorce, never ever try to divorce your partner. God will curse you. Even when she is willing in the house, don't divorce her. That's nature. Except on that one. Except on that one. Can that one happen? Who tells who? Huh? After DNA. What can you do?
Most cases in Malawi, you file for divorce. In those cases in Malawi, you file for divorce.
So we can file for divorce based on those areas, isn't it? Oh, thank you so much. That is cheating, but do not cheat. Tell your friend that you are aged not to cheat men, because men are fragile. They can vanish into thin air when they realize that zinthu zimene amajanje wina amajaso. So it cannot end well. But we will see that there is another area that we did not discuss when it came to divorce, on the causes of divorce. According to the Bible, you will only realize that the Bible capitalizes on adultery or cheating as the only source of divorce. But when you go to anthropology, you say, hey, sakubereka, all those things. Those are anthropologists. They say, bangi sakundipa tsamana. Ndekuti ne mtundu wangu otela pamene. So kuti mtundu wangu ochuluke, because anthropologists thinks kuti muntu was born has to revolve in order to generate human beings. But as community psychologists, you are going to be community leaders. Remember that. Even when somebody is failing to produce children, don't only blame women, because when a woman, when a man produces, sometimes men produce sex, what we call sperms, that are lame, but in nature. You have to produce sperms that have a head and a tail. There are some guys who only produce a sperm that has no tail. That one cannot impregnate a woman. So don't only accuse women. Sometimes some guys produce sperms that have maybe two heads but no tails. These sperms cannot swim within the uterus. They cannot even reach the fallopian tubes. Yes, you can ejaculate several times, but sperms that are lame. Zimayo sabeza mimi. Come your friend one dad one go, mimba. So don't only accuse women. Men are also at fault. When they accuse you, take him to the hospital. Tikaone kuti who is to blame. Ngati amachita makani akuchipatala kakabuza kuti bwana masperms zana akhala opanda njira. Zonoti aya ndende. Yeah, so don't be quick to say apa zinthu izizi nzoti makuti makuti. Men are to blame, women are to blame, but do not cheat when it comes to marriage. God bless you. Till next week when we shall meet again. You can switch off your gadgets, and then take the machine to the guy responsible. Bye for now.